Greetings YouTube and welcome to the Blue Corner. In today's video I'm going to be doing a deck profile slash discussion type thing, because this isn't really so much as a deck profile I have for you guys, even though it is a Disaster Dragon deck here. I'm more or less just giving you guys a template to work with, as this deck needs to be adjusted, and what I mean by that is Disaster Dragon as a whole needs to make some adjustments in order to keep up with the format, because admittedly I was naive in thinking that once Diamond Core comes out, this deck will be a terror again. Quackmere Drago is going to be awesome and kicking the shit out of all the artifacts and Lightsworns and stuff. And then Philadelphia happened, and I saw just how outgunned this deck still is, even with Primal Origin, and that we need to find ways to help Disaster Dragon adjust to it, because if you think throwing in 3 Diamond Cores into your deck, a playset of Quackmere Dragos, and Breakthrough Skill is going to be enough to take you through regionals and nationals and such, you're mistaken. No, you'll still get your shit pushed in, because Artifact Traptrix Hands is a really good deck. Ghirgia is a horrible matchup for us. It always has been, always will be, and Traptrix is a very difficult matchup for us to overcome too. And we kind of need to be able to adjust the deck to compensate for them, in addition to Mythic Rulers, the upcoming Lightsworns, and so on. And even with Shadows and Satellanites coming out in the future, and Dragon Stars, things that Quackmere Drago are good against, we're still not exactly going to be having a fine and dandy time, as, well, Breakthrough Skill is being seen in main deck play everywhere, and it's probably going to be 3 come the Duelist Advent, and Breakthrough Skill completely just trolls Drago, who is, of course, the troll itself. So Breakthrough Skill is the anti-troll, and it hurts this deck. So yeah, I'm just gonna give you guys what I've been working with, which was before Philadelphia. Like, I've made some adjustments since this weekend to this deck, as I was not satisfied with how Maximum Sniper performed for me at even just my locals. Like, it did okay, but it could have been better. So I'm just gonna give you guys like this to work with, as it's a fairly decent start, and I just wanted to like just voice some of my thoughts about this deck as we head forward into nationals and then into the next format, because the ban list is going to be dropped midway through July, and we'll see what happens here. Soul Charge will probably go to 1. I don't know if it's ban worthy, but it's definitely limit worthy. Like, check out WKTI's video on Soul Charge. He makes some good points about it. So yeah, this is a Maximum Sniper Disaster Dragon, which you have seen me talk about once before in the past. It was the deck known as Howling Voice Guild, which I tried to take full advantage of Maximum Sniper's abilities. Maximum Sniper is a build centered around Quackmere Maximus. Maximus is able to be special summoned by banishing an Iron Core from your hand, and then he pops a card, and then more often than not you would just let him die. It was one of our more powerful variants in terms of just power, but then Scrap Dragon got released and this build became absolutely irrelevant, because Scrap Dragon could do the same thing Maximus could, except he didn't die during the end phase. Now with Diamond Core, Maximus is easier to search out, and you can actually keep him alive for a turn and get 2 pops out of him before he dies, and you can bring him back with Red Med. So there is that. I tried going 2 Maximus, but I did not like how that worked, so I just cut it to a 1-1 Maximus Iron Core line. And yeah, let's just get started on this. So first up, you got Dr. Red, the big kahuna of dragons, and you get 1 copy of Quackmere Maximus. I already told you how this guy works. You can only summon it from your hand by banishing an Iron Core of Quackmere. After that, you can special summon it from the graveyard as many times as you want. He's not limited to once per turn. He's 3,000. He's level 8. He's wind. And those are some magic numbers. As he puts pressure on the opponent, they have to answer this immediately, otherwise they're going to be taking 3,000 to the face. And if you summon it, you probably have a Diamond Core in the graveyard, so you can make it immune to Mirror Force and Traptrix Trackle Nightmare and things of that nature. They will have to prison and compulse this, that's true, and he does follow the Black One of Heaven, but he still forces stuff out. It's just, yeah, unfortunately he's a neg one to summon. Then you get the 4 best cards in the game, hashtag deal with it. 3 copies of Quackmere Drago. Yeah, he's back at 3 now, but again, Breakthrough Skill just, he kinda, yeah, Breakthrough Skill allows decks to get over him, but 1900 is still good. And with Diamond Core, he is able to bump heads with Yamato, forcing out a Crane, which is also nice. 3 copies of Masked Dragon. Monster removal is fairly prominent in the format, but at the same time, most of that monster removal is in the form of stuff that targets face-up. So Masked Dragon is actually pretty okay to play. Mermails are starting to see a drop in play, so you don't have to worry about this guy being popped. Fire Fist is irrelevant, so again, you don't have to worry about this guy being popped. So you're going to be able to get something out of Masked Dragon. Just watch out for any Delta Flyers you summon off of him during your turn. Like if you suicide him into a monster and then you pull out Delta Flyer, so that main phase 2 you can normal summon a Drago and then try and go to a Stardust play. They can, in fact, Tractor Trapple Nightmare, the Delta Flyer you summon off of Masked Dragon. So just watch out for that little interaction. 2 copies of Flamvell Guard because I am playing Shrine. I considered going 1 Guard and 1 Luster Dragon, but I do like these guys for their ability to make synchro plays, especially with Soul Charge and Dragon Shrine. The 1 copy of Blizzard Dragon. If this was standard, I'd consider running 2, but I just don't know if I like multiple Blizzards right now. It's a normal summon, and yeah, there's just things I'd rather run in the spot, but it's still something to search off a title. 1 copy of Delta Flyer, 1 copy of Exploder Dragon, your Masked Dragon targets, and this is a more recent addition I got from playing around with rulers, and that is Dragunity Korseska. Just another level 1 tuner that you can use to make synchros. And more than once I found myself wishing I could go into level 8 synchro plays a la Dragon Rulers, but I'd already had my Flamvell Guards engraved and such. So this is an alternative, and it just happens to be a win, so you can pitch it with Tempest. So at this point, if you're playing standard rulers, I would kind of consider dropping Influence Dragon for this guy in its spot, because I'm liking this guy more. And granted, Leo is Leo, and there's no denying how good that thing is, but I'm just giving you guys options here. For the spells, 3 copies of Upstarts. I took these out when I was initially testing the deck, and I also ended up going over 40 cards, so I was at 41, and without the Upstarts it was basically 44, and boy did that ever kill me. So right now I've gone back to these. I could very much cut these though for things like Black Horn of Heaven, Wiretap, Traptrix, Trap-Hole Nightmare. There's a multitude of things you can run in the spot here, but for now it's just these guys to get to more cards in my deck, because we do kind of lack draw power, and the Masked Dragon needs like to be consistent as possible, like as consistent as possible. Polyduality is also an option, but I do like being able to upstart and then special summon. Shrine, because sending 2 dragons into the grave and then soul charging them is kind of nice. Diamond Core. The ratios of this depend on if you're running Maximus or not, and if you're running Wind Blasts or not. If you're running Maximus, then 3. If you're running no Maximus, then 2. But if you're running Wing Blast or Raigeki Break, then 3, because you can always discard this for Wing Blast and then use it to protect Drago. Very good card. I'm so glad it's a common. I'm so glad a lot of the good cards in Primal were actually low rarity. Scrap Factory, this, and Evil Singularity. It makes a lot of good budget cheap decks easier to build. 2 copies of Soul Charge. I kind of want to go to 3, but at the same time, I'm starting to really feel that this card it's not as good now as it was pre-Prio. Just giving up all that life points and then having your shit get nuked or such, I don't know, like, if this goes to 1, I think that's going to be perfectly fine for it. I don't know if it's really ban-worthy. 3, though, is kind of really good in Dragon Rulers, but this isn't Dragon Rulers, but there are merits to playing 3 of these. It's just, yeah, space issues. If I cut the upstarts, then I might take this up to 3. I do like to see this in Shrine as early as possible, just so I can Shrine, even just Shrining a Drago and then bringing it back with Soul Charge. For the 1-ofs, Burial and Goldsark, they do what they do. And then for the traps, it's simple stuff. 2 Breakthrough Skill, it's kind of like one of the best traps in the game. 2-Dimensional Prison, because Fire Hand and Ice Hand wreck this deck. Unless you can get Drago in the fence, then they can't beat over it. But yeah, you summon a Drago thinking, okay, I've got them locked down. Then they just summon Fire Hand, crash into the Drago, and like, fuck, now their artifacts are online again. So Prison helps you with that. And it also gets over those rare things like, oh, your opponent's still playing Mermails, then banish the Linde. 2 copies of Wing Blast is a more recent addition. I tried, like, I'm so used to playing rulers that I like having something like this to spin cards away from the field, break up soft blocks without destroying, and setting the opponent back a turn. So I ended up putting this back in. Plus, Richard Clark made a very good point about Wing Blast in his Disaster Dragon deck, where he's actually, I think, meaning 3 of these, in that you can just discard dead copies of Diamond Core. I'm like, that's actually a fairly good idea, so shout out to you on that one. And then for the singletons, Bottomless, Warning, and Torrential, I am thinking about Compulsion here. Those are also things I could cut the upstarts for. So again, this isn't exactly how you should be playing it. This is just a way that you could be playing it, and just listing the positives and negatives of X cards. I also have some of an extra deck here, so we'll just go over that. For Synchros, Star Eater, Leo, because Delta Flyer, and this thing's kind of really good against those decks that still target, i.e. Constellars. Blader, Fighter, Scrap Dragon, Stardust Spark. This is becoming a lot better now, especially if you can get this out and then get a Drago on board, then you can help keep Drago safe. Stardust, Black Rose, and for Xyz, Dracosac, Big Eye, Dweller, Cowboy, Heartland Draco, Arc, and Ragna Zero, which is a really good card. I do want to get a copy of Leviair the Sea Dragon in here because of Soul Charge, as there are those times where you can Soul Charge out 2 level 3s, such as Exploder Dragon and Mash Dragon, and then you can go into a Leviair to special summon out a Quackmere Drago you may have banished for a ruler, or if you already banished a Delta Flyer, and you Soul Charge into a place such as these two guys, and then a level 4 such as Blizzard Dragon, or even Quackmere Drago, then you can overlay into the Leviair, detach, special summon the Delta Flyer that you may have banished earlier, and then level up into Stardust, and then end your board with Leviair and Stardust, or Stardust Spark. No, you couldn't make Stardust Spark because he's light. I keep forgetting that. So you could end up with Leviair and Stardust with protection, and on the next turn, Leviair just summons out more shit that you banished with Ruler. So that's something else I want to consider in here too, as long as I continue to run multiple copies of Soul Charge. And that's all I've really got for you guys in regards to Disaster Dragon-ish stuff right now. I've got some more decks I want to play around with now that Primal Origins are out. I've got Quackmere cards, so I want to play around with the Quackmere variant. Scraps, I've been waiting forever for Factory to come out, so you know I'm going to be on that shit. And I also proxied out copies of Dragonstar and Satellanites, so I can play test around Satellanites and Dragonstar Scraps. If you've ever seen this thing in action, it is a wonder to behold. Like, oh my goodness. I did not realize that the Dragonstar Special Summon Trap works when monsters are killed in general. Dragonstar Trap, Scrap Factory, and Supply Unit with Green Baboon in your hand or graveyard. Oh my goodness, the sickening amount of shit that you can just pull off in that deck. Granted, you lose hard to Mid-Rash, but by that point, I'm probably going to be on 3 breakthrough skills. But anyway, that's all I got for you guys, so I hope you enjoyed this. I know people are happy to see Disaster Dragon again, and I'm happy to see that this thing is viable again. I might actually consider doing a series of videos where I talk about Dragon decks of past, which includes Classic Disaster, Hopeless Dragon in its full glory, 5th Dragon, and even just old school dragons with Lord of Dragons and Flute of Summoning Dragons and such. So that might be a thing. That being said, hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you all for watching. Until next time, this is BlueStar899, jacking out.